What's up, y'all? It's TruthTiger, and today I'm going to talk about how true Christians do not have a place within the church. The church is very fake, it's very cold, it's very unfriendly, it's very corporate. They're trying to get donations and money, and just a lot of the people in the church are not good quality. There's a lot of narcissists, manipulators, and just a lot of drama and BS in these churches. And I can tell you, as a new believer coming into the church, I grew up as an Orthodox Jew. I was, not religious for a while. And, when I came to understand Christ, I joined the church thinking that was what I was supposed to do. And oh boy, was that a mistake. That was a big, massive mistake on my part. And I never should have did that. If you're a true believer and you truly care about God and you truly care about loving your fellow and following Jesus Christ with all your heart and upholding God's commandments, the church is not a place for you. It's filled with people who love to gossip, love drama, and it's just like, especially if you're like a young man, if you're like a young single dude, the church is just not a good place for you. It's not built for you. It's not made for you. The church is mostly made for married people, people with families. The church does a lot to appeal to women, so many women's groups and women's this and that, but for men, they do very little. There's very little community and fellowship in the church. And a lot of these people, they're just miserable. It's a crab bucket. It's a crab bucket of miserable people who have drama and issues and ridiculousness, and they all come together and they want to drag you down into the dirt with them, into the muck with them. And that's what I experienced. I experienced a lot of controlling people, a lot of negative people, a lot of people who love to gossip, a lot of people who just love drama. And I've heard so many horror stories from people that I've emailed and talked to and, through this channel and otherwise. And I don't know, I know some people that they're just, I'm going to this conference, I'm flying here, I'm flying there. It's like, how are you really serving God? It's just, you're just running around doing all this stuff. And the thing about the church is they can, build a well in Africa, but they can't be kind to the people around them. They're not kind to the people around them. And for me, it's like I really wanted to join the church and be a part of this, we're all these Christians together on this mission to spread the word of God, spread love, make the world a better place, teach people about Jesus Christ. And the other people, they weren't about that. They just want to go there on Sunday, power down, listen to a sermon, and just be, no activity, don't even do anything. And I don't know, there's no action to it. And it's just about following programming. Oh, we all read this book. Read this book with us. And it's like, I want to actually build friendships, build relationships, have like positive connections with people. But no, and it's a lot of broken people and nobody's fixing anybody. Nobody's being fixed, nobody's repaired. People, it's just brokenness and broken situations. And they're not like looking out for your best interests. They just see you as another pile of meat to throw into the grinder. You're just another piece of meat to throw into their church meat grinder. And it's the system, it's the matrix. It's not really about what Jesus taught. In the Bible, the church is a gathering of followers of Jesus Christ. It's not this whole system thing. And the thing is, the church is divided. It's you're Catholic, you're Protestant, you're Pescatarian, you're a Pescatarian, you're Seventh-day Adventist, you're Baptist, you're, it's just like all this, you're Pentecostal, you're this, you're that. Like, I'm not any of that crap. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, period. I don't care about any of that, and I never did, but to them, it's about the denominations and this and that, and I'm like, I don't care about that crap. That's just the system, that's just the matrix. I want to follow Jesus Christ, be with God, love my fellow, do right in the world, spread truth to the world, and, carry my cross. That's what I want to do. I don't care about being a pescatarian or whatever, or a Methodist. It doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. But that's what they care about. That's what they care about, what sect and what this and what that. And the thing is, me coming from not a Christian background, they didn't understand that. They all grew up in the church. This is something they grew up in and they were all a part of. And if you weren't a part of it, they just don't get it. I'm like, I didn't grow up doing this. And I've literally had people like say, like, I know your mother is praying for you. I'm like, she's not Christian. She doesn't follow Jesus. And when you tell people that, they're like, what? Huh? It's like, how do you not get that? They're not equipped to, deal with new believers at all or help give new believers guidance. No one was there to point me in the right direction. They're just going to tell you, preach the gospel to everybody. They're not going to teach you how to be clever about that. And they're going to set you up for failure. They are. And they're very weird and judgmental. And some of the worst narcissists I've encountered have been inside these churches. Like, for real. Like, I had this roommate, real narcissist. I'm spiritual. I'm a nice person, which is a total narcissistic loser weirdo. And, the church, they're okay with that kind of energy. And the thing is, they're not like staying up on what's happening. Like, you can't just let anybody come in and join, You gotta make sure that they're the right kind of people and the right kind of folks. Like, for real. And again, they don't really care that much about that. They're just like, whoever can come in, and if we can get the money and the donations, great, and a lot of these churches, especially with the prosperity gospel, like, oh my gosh, they are so money obsessed. They're so trying to get these donations, and they bring way too much politics into the church as well. They should be a lot less political. And where I'm at, being on the West Coast, a lot of these churches, they're very woke. I never went to a woke church, but I've driven past them and seen them, and, they're not upholding what's taught in the Bible at all. They're just trying to tell people what they want to hear. I've heard stories about them bringing in Buddhist monks and stuff, and not keeping it on track with Jesus, but mixing in other stuff. And, this modern church, they're doing all the wrong stuff. And even if you look at the history of the church, it's just like, it's not the best history. It seems like after the disciples passed away, some other stuff happened, and I don't know, Roman Catholicism started, and a whole bunch of weird crap started happening, and I don't know, but I just look at this church, and it's a false church of the system, and it's definitely been infiltrated by the Freemasons and by occult secret society people, and I've heard stories about pastors being a part of that, and I don't know, when I look at it, it just does not look good. There's bad things that happen to children in these churches, and I don't know, I've heard a lot of stories about the pastor, like, sleeping with someone's wife or banging the secretary, and I don't know, and it seems like a lot of the women of the church who are married, they want special extra attention from the pastor and stuff, and I don't know, the church is just not responsible. If you're like the new guy like I was, they just want to throw you into volunteering and this and that, and if you want to be friends with people, they just kind of throw you into the meat grinder. Like, there was a woman there. She was a nice woman, a very beautiful woman, but I was 26, she was 42, and they like pushed us together. And, I remember being out on a date with her, and I think maybe she wanted me to come in for a kiss or something. I didn't do it, and I didn't really know. I thought we were just hanging out, and I'm kind of realizing, I'm like, this woman is like 16 years older than me. Like, I can't do that. I think I'm trying to do the math on that, but yeah, it's like a lot older than me, and I'm like, I don't know. Then she just kind of stormed out and left one day, and I don't know. I'm just like, it's a lot of weird people. There's a lot of scams being pushed, crypto scams, pyramid schemes, and there's just a lot of stuff going on that I'm like, what the hell is all this? What the hell is all this crap, And I don't know, it's a lot of this, there's like a group of Jezebels in the back that kind of the pastor wants to please. Maybe they donate a lot, or they'll come with a big guilt trip or something, so the pastor wants to keep them happy. A lot of these pastors are such cowards. They're just trying to appease an audience. And a lot of times the message can get muddled because they want to please people. They don't really want to preach the truth of the gospel. And I've seen a lot of that where they're just people pleasers. And I don't know, the people in a lot of these churches are so robotic too. They're just these robot NPC, like, that's not what God called us to be at all. They don't think for themselves. They just want to listen to the sermons and have that program them. And have that, like, think for themselves or something. I don't know, but man, these churches are just not good, and there's a lot of drama and scandalous stuff going on with them. And a lot of the people in there are just angry, nasty, weird. They have bad attitudes. Like, I've seen a lot of weird arguments and fights break out and stuff like that in these churches, and it's just a very negative situation, and it's not the truth of God really at all. It isn't. And man, a lot of these pastors too, they want to be like celebrities and be popular and be famous. A lot of them are very bossy and domineering and controlling, and they're like, rule the church with an iron fist, or I don't know. A lot of these pastors are just on some weird energy. I've only maybe met one pastor that I liked. A lot of them were just on some weird BS, just manipulative, weird. Not a fan of it. It's just if you're a true believer and you really want to follow God and do the right thing, they're not doing that. And a lot of these churches are just like an AA kind of thing, and for people who need that, that's good, that's fine. But guess what? Jesus Christ drank wine. He drank a couple glasses of wine, a couple tankards, whatever they had back in, Roman Judea. He drank a little bit of wine, and I get there's people that are, trying to be sober and stuff, and that's good, but that shouldn't be the whole purpose of the church. And I remember coming in there at age 26, and, some guy just made the assumption, like, oh yeah, you went to church as a child, and, you made some bad turns in life, and now you're coming back like the prodigal son. I'm like, I didn't grow up Christian. That's not why I'm here. But man, there's just so much assumptions they make, and I don't know, they're obsessed with the music too. Like, music is good, it's great, it's good to have some good music, but it's not the end-all be-all. It's like they just want to have it be about entertainment. They want the sermon to be entertaining and the music to be entertaining. It's like, what about the truth of God? Does that mean anything to them? It doesn't. And I've met some nice people. There's some good people in the church, but it's kind of few and far between. And it's, I don't know, like, proper time is not made for community building. The people there are very pissy and passive aggressive and unfriendly, and it's just not a place I like being. It's not a place I want to be, and it's not a place where you need to be. It isn't. And I mean, there's some good churches out there maybe, and there's some people who maybe have good community. I mean, I think if you're a woman who's maybe a little bit older, maybe church could be good for you. But if you're a younger man, it's not the place for you. It's not the environment for you. It's just, I don't know, there's no mission to it either. It's just all, following the system and following their program. And I don't know, they're so weird about that. With, you got to read this book and do this and do this, that. And I'm like, I don't want to read these books and, like, do this crap. Like, I don't know. I want to read the Bible. I want to pray. I want to be about God. But I don't know. And even the praying, like, when you pray in a group, it's like a competition to see who can have the best prayer, and people start speaking in tongues. And I mean, I've spoken in tongues before. It could be a good thing to do, I guess. But I don't know. People do that very performatively. They're very performative about the speaking in tongues. And gosh, there's just a lot of manipulative people, a lot of narcissists, a lot of drama, a lot of issues, a lot of angry people, a lot of fake people. A lot of people just seem like they're going to these churches and just rotting, They're just kind of rotting out and not making good progress in life and not doing the things they need to do. And man, that was one of the biggest mistakes of my adult life, was getting involved in the church, man. And the people there, they're so apathetic and uncaring. You can feel the lack of care. And when they do the little group community, we all talk. People just want to talk about themselves, and they want all the prayer requests for them. And they want to make such a big deal about how they're praying for so-and-so. And I don't know. It's like Jesus talks about how the Pharisees go out in public and they pray loudly and they beat their chest. And look at how devout and religious I am, you know, and that's what they're doing in the modern church. Or as you said, the person who prays by their bedside at night, that's the one whose prayer is heard, because that's a genuine prayer to God. But these people praying in public, you know, and that's how the church is. Everyone's trying to look like the best Christian and the shiniest, nicest Christian. And I don't know, a lot of people are just involved in, I don't know, like a lot of scams and stuff, and people are very into the self-help movement, and I don't know, I mean, a lot of stuff in the self-help movement with these books and all this stuff, a lot of it's very scammy and whatever, and they're very into that kind of stuff in the church, and man, I just don't like it. I did not enjoy my time there. I had a lot of people just be very fake and weird to me. I didn't feel like I really made a lot of good friends. It just seems like a very lonely, isolating environment. It seems like people aren't doing well. And it seems like a lot of just toxic, nasty, negative people are just given free rein. And they're just like, cool, keep the nasty, negative people here. But the good people are going to leave. They're not going to tolerate it. They're not going to want to be around it. And the people who truly have the Spirit of God are not going to last that long in these churches. Eventually, they're going to realize it's just a bunch of BS. I remember God was giving me signs. You know, I would see 666 on the license plates of the cars outside of these churches. And God's showing me that this is the system. This is the beast. This is the matrix. This is not my church, you know. God was showing me these people are not my true sheep. They are not my true followers. Like, for real. For real, for real. And there is such a Jezebel spirit in the church of men being emasculated, of just these women who want to complain, of effeminate, pissy, passive-aggressive men who are very, I don't know, just these pissy, effeminate kind of men, and just a lot of these just angry, bitchy kind of women, and it's just the wrong vibe, the wrong energy, and there is not a lot of love or care in these churches. Not a lot of love or care at all. People are just coming in quickly on a Sunday. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel uplifted. They come in and they leave. And the unfriendliness also is just like, I remember just trying to say hi to some people, talk to some people. They don't even want to talk to me. I'm like, okay, are we the followers of Christ together? That doesn't seem like that's what this is. Not at all, not at all. So yeah, this modern church, it's not a place for a true believer. If you're a true believer in God, it's not a place for you. And the thing is, these pastors don't even really have a strong spiritual understanding of the Bible at all, and they take a lot of the verses out of context, and there are certain parts of the Bible they just skip over, and it's just like, man, they're just doing it wrong. They're just doing it wrong, and a lot of the people there are just very angry, and there's just a lot of brokenness. You go there and you see a lot of people who just ain't doing well, and things ain't getting better, and it's just like, man, what is happening in these churches? It's very ego-driven. These churches are very much driven by ego and appealing to people's egos and telling people what they want to hear, and not keeping it real with situations. And when it comes to toxic people and drama and issues, they don't throw the toxic people out. It's like, with these people who cause problems, you got to get them out of the congregation. You can't have a bunch of toxic narcissists in the congregation just running amok and causing problems. You have to tell these people, hey, like, you're not up to snuff for this community. You're not representing what we represent. We need good, loving, kind people. And you ain't it. That's what I would be like if I was running a church. I would be like, the BS has got to go. But again, that's bad for their money. That's bad for their bottom line. And they just have no discernment. They're very bad at figuring out what's really happening with situations. And I don't know, I just see a lot of stuff where I'm just not loving it. Like, there was a marriage where, the guy is over 25 years older than the girl he's marrying, and I don't know, just stuff where it's like, it's kind of happening, and I'm new there, and I don't really know what to say, but I'm like, I don't love this. I just don't love this. And these people just don't seem happy. They don't really go out of their way to help other people. They're very fake nice, and they show a lot of fake care and fake compassion, but they're not the real deal. And so many people in the church are married to narcissists or got narcissistic situations going on, and they're just not respectful people. They're not like honorable, respectful people. They're very gossipy and disrespectful and passive aggressive and bitchy. And man, this church is just not a good deal. It's not a good deal, and I would advise y'all, true followers of Christ, true Christians, to stay far away from it, because it's probably just going to bring you a bunch of drama. Your wallet's going to be a lot lighter, and yeah. So yeah, this is going to end my video here. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love, God bless, and I will see you all next time.